Hello, guys. Welcome to the show. Listen, I'm glad to have you guys here today. I'm going to talk about the wealth transfer and the reason why this is important to Bitcoin and what could actually happen in the very near future. You know, the financial system, it's having tremendous pressures exerted on it through what's called over-leveraging. And what this basically over-leveraging is, it's an over-leveraged financial system right now, is fiat currencies. They've been mismanaged by the world's powerful elite that control them, the central banks. They've over-leveraged the system with debt, and debt is credit at the same time, and they've created a huge bubble. And this bubble is not unlike a scientific experiment that's done by students, oftentimes with a barrel. When they take a barrel and they steam the pressure out of the barrel, the water, they steam water vapor out of the barrel, and then they close it off, they cap the barrel, and then they add they cool the air pressure inside the barrel, and they create internal pressures. Well, the thing about this is if you're on the outside looking at that barrel, just before it's ready to implode, the barrel's ready to implode, everything looks normal. And this is the way with our financial system right now. It looks normal, but there's tremendous internal pressures from it, from over-leveraging. They've over-leveraged it. 10 years of 0% interest rate policy, free and easy money, and the world has extended this debt outwards everywhere. Everybody is bought things that they can't buy, and they've over-leveraged themselves to the point where the financial system right now, the Fed has put the cold water on the financial system, which is the quantitative tightening. And the financial system right now, it still looks fine, but it's ready to implode. And these asset bubbles popping, real estate bubbles popping, is what's going to implode the financial system. And when that happens, that's going to be a sudden deflationary event like 2008. The central banks are going to have to respond to that. They've already given you an indication of which direction they're going to turn. The Federal Reserve's come out quite recently and they've said, hey, you know what? We might have to go back to quantitative easing. Well, they might have to do a lot more than that when these bubbles start to burst. And they're just on the verge of starting to burst right now. All of this is coming to a head. The weird thing about it is, if you don't want to be in dollars, there's only 3 ways out: gold, silver, cryptocurrencies. Now, all of these forms of ways out of the dollar have their own practical purposes, things they're used for. Gold and silver are something you can actually use in your hand. You can hold it in your hand. It's not in the system. They can't see it. If you're holding gold and silver, these bankers, the government, everybody else, they can't see this in the system. And also, you can hold it in your own physical possession, and it has no counterparty risk. So it has qualities that you don't find in cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency can be seen within the system. Cryptocurrency, though, has things that gold and silver can't do. You can move it halfway around the earth almost instantaneously, transferring wealth from one person to another halfway around the earth over the internet. It integrates itself into the internet. Real gold and silver can't do this. So they both have values and characteristics that make them a valuable asset class that's divested from the dollar. When this system implodes, it's going to cause something called a wealth transfer. And basically how this works is, picture if there's a giant stadium full of people, okay, and they're all enjoying some sort of a event. But this stadium maybe has 2,000-3,000 people inside it, and it's got 2 exit doors. one on either side. But they're not big exit doors. It's just normal size exit doors. So everybody's in there having a good time, and all of a sudden something happens that creates some smoke. And somebody yells, fire. Well, just moments before, nobody wanted to go for the exit. Suddenly, everybody wants to jam out through those exits. Well, it's the same way with the fiat monetary system. Everybody's holding paper currency right now. Nobody wants to escape. Everybody's having a good time, just like they're partying inside the stadium. But all of a sudden, at a certain point, they're all going to want to get out simultaneously, and they're going to create this wealth transfer. Because you're going to find that at that point, the dollar is hyperinflating. The dollar is inflation, but hyperinflation is like inflation on steroids. So the dollar's moving in that direction, losing value. At that same moment in time, you've got all of the cryptocurrencies, or most of them, that are deflating. They're going in the opposite direction. So their value is going up, priced in dollars. I cannot begin to express to you how profound this effect could be, because we have a situation here that has never existed before in the history of the world, and nor will be repeated again. It'll never happen again. It's going to be talked about for a long time after it happens. But it's like this barrel. Using the barrel as an illustration in your mind, and even the people who are standing around watching the barrel, and they know what's going to happen, are taken by shock and awe when it does finally happen, because of the speed and ferocity of it. It just bang! It makes a loud repercussion, and they're like, wow, that's the way this is going to be, because of the over-leveraging of the system and the internal pressures that are building up within the financial system. This is going to be bad, folks. 2008 was only a precursor. This is going to be 10 times worse. And the reaction to it's going to have to be 10 times greater by the central banks. And this is what's going to start the inflation at first. At first it's going to be inflation. But then later it's going to lead to people starting to, hey, you know what? Our dollars aren't purchasing anymore. I'm going to go in and buy that new car. I'm going to go in and do this, or I'm going to go in and do that with their money. And this velocity of money just starts to go through the roof at that point, because everybody's thinking the same thing. Spend my money now. This effect is like a snowball. It just goes faster and faster. And it's like the barrel crushing. How high can Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies go under this kind of a driver behind them? Well, the sky's the limit. I'm not going to put a price priced in dollars. And actually, at the end of the day, you might not say that Bitcoin, you might not be able to price it in dollars anymore. You might have to price it in purchasing power. And its purchasing power might actually, of one Bitcoin, might actually be something that leaves your mouth hang open with shock and awe at that particular point in time. Because there's only 21 million Bitcoins to go around for the whole world. And also you got to take into consideration the loss. Take a look at what happened at Quadriga, the Canadian exchange, just days ago. When, I think it was like $196 million or something like that was a Bitcoin was just lost because they lost the passwords or whatever. I haven't heard more on that situation yet, but this kind of thing has repeated itself through the history of Bitcoin, chewing away at that 21 million, which is the optimum number. That's the number that 21 million is like. If the world was perfect and rosy, there'd be 21 million Bitcoins. I'm thinking to myself, by the time it's all said and done, they're lucky to have 10 million left. Quite seriously. But that's at that point in time is when the world is going to be using it. This is a situation. It's never going to be repeated again, for not just for cryptocurrency, but for gold and silver too. Because they're going to all be benefactors of this wealth transfer. Listen, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next show. Bye-bye, guys.